Good morning, everybody. So today is a little bit different. We have the spiced Cyser, not a cider, that we infused with the cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and allspice. And it needs a little bit of back sweetening. The infusion is complete, but in order to get it sort of that apple pie flavor, it needs a little bit more sweetness. So I've got my 2 gallons here that I will rack into these 2 pitchers. And then we're going to add some honey and figure out exactly how much honey we need to get that right taste. First thing is first, though, I realized that I haven't done a final pH or a final reading for final gravity reading, I should say, for this brew. So first thing is going to be some pH because that will take a little bit of time. So we'll take this off. And I hope it goes without saying that all of the things that are touching the brew, including my hands, have been dunked in Star San, which is my preferred sanitation liquid. I realize that not everybody knows about Star San. So Star San is a foaming, no rinse sanitizer. So you can shake it up and in a vessel and it gets all foamy so that it can get into the little crevices like on these bottles and really sanitize that. However, some people are afraid that that's soap and not safe to eat. It's perfectly fine. Don't drink it in high quantities because that's just silly, but it does no harm to the brew. The foam is actually a great indicator sometimes when I'm bottling as to how far up the brew is in the bottle, but the sanitation fluid of Star San is, so long as you follow the manufacturer's directions, is a really safe, really great option for sanitizing. Anyway, baster. Got a little bit of that. And I have a new pH monitor that my sister sent me for my birthday, so we get to try that out today. Okay, sorry about that. Turns out it's so new that I had to go and find the little piece of plastic in between the batteries. So that took a little bit of surgery. Anyway, we are going into the solution now. Just double checking. Immerse, stir gently, and wait. So that's waiting. Okay, so looking at that, according to the directions, it says that our pH is at 3.7, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah, I'm going to go with 3.7, which is a great spot to be. So it's slightly acidic, well, fairly acidic, honestly, which is bound to happen with fermentation. Got to rinse this off and then stick it in its little storage device. All right, so pH is at 3.7. Now we need a gravity reading so that I know, not that I know, but that I can figure out exactly how much honey I am putting into the brew. Because if I don't have a starting point, then I don't know what the difference will be when I finish, so I can calculate exactly how much honey I added. All right, it says we're at 5.2 bricks, which means, all right, 5.2 bricks. All right, 5.2 bricks puts this at a gravity reading of 0.997, which puts it at about 8.4% alcohol, which is great. And now I have a little taster for myself. So, but first, clean out the refractometer. We'll need this again later. And my little taste. Definitely needs sweetness. Has a lovely amount of warmth from the cinnamon and the cloves. I'm not getting as much nutmeg as I thought I would, but the rest of the spices, it is just like fall. Because we are in fall, one, but it is quite lovely. But this face definitely says it needs sweetness. So set that aside. To do sweetness, we're going to take the brew and rack it into a pitcher, and then I'm going to add some honey. And we'll do this for both of these. So I'll go ahead and rack into both pitchers. But one thing that you also didn't see over the past couple of weeks is just how clear the brew has gotten. I mean, look at this. Pectic enzyme is wonderful. However, you can see in the bottom all of those particulates, and some of them are still kind of suspended in the brew. That's just pieces of apple. Particles of apple, I should say. So those will mostly get out of the brew as I rack it. I have to be really gentle and keep the cap on. I'll have a little bit of loss, but I don't particularly want those particulates in the brew. So we'll keep the cap on the idle siphon on and right on into the pitchers. First rule of siphoning, destination is lower than the start. That goes somehow in my head. Yeah, just look at all that gunk that is still down in there. And now it's not going to be in my brew. But I am going to need this, so I have to clean it. See, this is what I mean with all the bubbles. It gets in every nook and cranny. I'll let this sit for a bit so I can get more of the bubbles out later because I don't want it filled with bubbles. But again, it's not going to hurt you when your brew gets in here. And now for number 2. Feels like we lost a little bit more in that one, but again, now none of this is in my brew, and that makes me happy. All right. Vessels are clean. And now, the fun part. So I have my little taster, and I'm going to be kind of guesstimating exactly how much honey I will be adding. Oh, I think I may transfer a little bit over from this pitcher into this pitcher because this is only at 3.5 quarts and this is fully at 4 quarts. And I want them to be a little bit more even so that I can measure my honey accordingly between the two of them. And so, slowly but surely. Now I'm doing it this way so that I can prevent oxidization. We don't want oxidization, and especially since this is only 8.4%, there is a higher chance of acetobacters getting in and it becoming vinegar. And I just spent all this time for the past month, really, making this, and I want to drink it in its appropriate form. That was 3.5 liters. Okay. Well, I can read, I swear. That was at 3.5 liters. I am balancing back out. There we go. That's better now. Sorry, that took up so much time. So now, honey. At this moment, I'm going to put in about 3 ounces of honey according to this beaker, just so that I know enough will get in there for at least a difference. Because I don't think I don't think it'll make a difference if there's less than that amount, honestly. All right, 3 ounces of honey with my skinny spatula. Okay, there's that. And now it's time for the spattle. It's a spoon, it's a paddle, it's a spattle. And I'm going to try and disturb the top as little as possible, again, to prevent oxidization. So bear with us, folks. Because it's alcohol, it is going to take a little bit more time for it to dissolve, unlike when we started with water. Okay. Yeah, it needed that. It definitely needed that. It's a bit more mellow, which is great. It still feels quite dry. You'd still get all of the warmth of the spices. I think I can do 1 more ounce. Yeah, I think 1 more ounce. The honey is starting to come forward too. So let's add 1 more ounce. Okay, so it's more like 1 1/3 ounces. Sticky, sticky. Another taste. Yeah, that's where it should be. That 4 ounce, that extra ounce was perfect. You get the warm spice notes, but you get the honey and the apple. That is quite nice. All right. So now we know 4 ounces for just about a gallon. This is just about a gallon, so let's put in 4 ounces. Now, I might be putting in 4 ounces of honey for me. That does not mean it's the same for you, because we all have different tastes. So, what I would recommend when you're doing this for yourself is just go little by little. Add some honey, taste. Add some honey, taste. And when you we'll go through how to mathematically figure out how much honey there is in the brew later. Because it's got to do with the specific gravity, but the difference between the two. But yeah, the difference between your final gravity and the gravity of what the brew is now. And then converting that from, converting that from gravity into pounds of sugar. It's a whole thing. This one is stirring up a bit faster than the other one. Oh, no, it's not. I just can't see as well. Now, I also had trepidations about filming this process because it can't possibly be entertaining. And I have to remind myself, this particular channel, this series, is not really about being entertaining. It's about being an archive of what I am doing with my brews. So, because it's an archive, I should film. So, here we are. All right, that seems to be incorporated. Taste on that side. Yeah. It's a little bit sweeter because there was a little bit less than a gallon over here. But what I'm going to do now, which I don't normally recommend, but I have done it before, is in the racking, we're going to try, is we're going to blend. So my current thought process, rather than me going back and forth from the same pitchers to try and incorporate, you know what? Nope, I am going to do it that way because I feel like I will have more control than trying to rack half of one pitcher into a bottle and then racking the other half that I end up racking like 4 different times. Oh. But first, I need a final gravity of this brew. And I'm going to do both of them. Actually, I should do this after I blend them. So we'll wait on that. Okay. All right, so some's going into here. Gotta be gentle. Now, because I added the honey, the clarity has gone down a bit, but with time, that will get fixed. This is brain work. And messy. And I don't want to lose that much brew. So, gentle, gentle. Okay. That's as easy as I'm gonna get. So, now the gravity reading. All right, so now it's at 8.8 bricks. So yes, sugar was added. Which then puts the gravity at 1.019. Yes, that's what I just read. So it's going to be a bit on the sweeter side for some people, but the flavoring really does help. Let's take in one more taste just to make sure that the balance is right. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's going to be an easy drink once it's cold. Great. And even warm, this will be lovely as like a mulled drink. Put a couple of mulling spices in there to really accentuate those spices that are already in there, and it's just going to be lovely. So now we're going to rack back into the bottles, stick them in an airlock again, and we'll have them wait again. So first thing is first, pitcher up. And this time I'm going to be doing it without the cap so that I can get every little last drop. Now the fun part, because as you've seen, these bottles are not the most stable. That's all I'm going to get out of that way. Put that in there for now. That there. Aha. But I still have a little bit left that I want to put in. So bring this back up. Very gently. As gentle as I possibly can anyway, given how big these are. All right. That might be a little too full. So I'm just gonna whisk a little bit of that out, put it in here, and put an airlock on this baby. Now I'm letting this sit some more for the flavors to really mesh and mellow together, and then I will bottle them in a few weeks. I wanted to be able to drink this before Thanksgiving, so probably only a week or two. There we go. Okay. Got a final little bit in there. And then we'll stick. Wait for that to drain, because I had nowhere else to put it. There we go. Put this in here while I prep the other pitcher. In and in. That. Thing's almost falling. And the last of this in here. Okay, so I want to level these out. This one is stupid full, this one is not stupid full. So I'm going to take the baster, level these out, put an airlock on them, and then see y'all in a couple of weeks for bottling. Thanks y'all so much. See you next time.